Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I'm going to show you how to play Born to Be Wild. Let's just take a quick look at what we'll be learning today. And this is an awesome song to learn on electric guitar because it has a little bit of everything. Really quick before we get started, I have a free ebook. It's free for all my subscribers. Covers all the basics of riffs and lead guitar and all that stuff. I'll put a link to that in the corner and down below. I also have a course, The Complete Lead Guitarist, which is designed to make you comfortable jamming and expressing yourself on lead guitar. We'll talk more about that later. Anyways, the first thing that we have to do, this song's in the key of E, and instead of playing like a, acoustic E chord, we're going to be playing our E up here. We can either do the full-on bar chord, so the 7th fret of the A string, and then my ring finger's laid across the 9th fret of the D, G, and B string, and then I'm muting the thinnest string with the underside of my ring finger. And if that bar chord's a bit much, you can always just have your index in the same spot, the 7th fret of the A string, and then just put your ring finger on the 9th fret of the next string. So instead of barring all those strings, just gonna play one thing with it. And that's gonna sound pretty good too. Although you'll wanna make sure that your index is muting the thinner strings, because when we do our strumming, we don't want them to. It's actually not too bad if they ring out, but it's preferred that they don't. And now to our chord shape, whether you're doing the bar chord or the power chord, we're gonna add some strumming. It goes like this. I'm gonna do that slowly and count it out. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if that's a bit much for you, we can break it down. First things first though, we're gonna keep our arm moving the entire time with the rhythm. Down on the numbers, up on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Once you get used to that, strumming is a cinch. All you gotta do is just make contact with the strings sometimes. I know it sounds simple, but if you take your time and you go through it at your own pace, you will be able to do it. So here, we can see we have a down on beat 1, and then we have an up on the and after 2, and so on. Let's just go super duper slow and count our way through it. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So during that second half, we're missing on the numbers. Like on 1 we miss, and then we play the up after it. And then on 2 we miss, and we play the up after it. And then we go 3, 4. Let's just try that second half a couple times isolated. Going miss, up, down, down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Take your time, work through it at your own pace. Eventually you end up with. And to that, we can add some of the other elements of the tune, right? Now that we have the rhythm down and we have our basic chord shape, let's change some things. We're gonna go. The first half's the same, just strumming. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. And then here, at the very end of it, during that down, down, we're gonna go like this. So I have my basic shape there, and I'm adding my pinky to the 11th fret of the D string. And then I move it up to the 12th fret. And that's a bit of a stretch, so you might have to bring your elbow in, make sure your thumb's in a good position. I would even add the upstroke before it, just so we can really feel it, going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that's one of those things that you just isolate, you work on for quite a while. You could even try it like way higher up where the frets are closer together. Don't worry about the sound sounding off. Just focus on, you know, doing it where the frets are smaller, and then you get lower and lower until you can make that stretch in the actual spot. And when you put that all together, that gives us our intro. From there, we're going to go into the verse. So it has a lot of the same elements. It ends the exact same way, but we're starting off, instead of doing strumming, we're still holding the same chord. We're going to palm mute and just play the thickest string. So to palm mute, I'm just overlapping the string a little bit. You just got to feel it out. Every guitar is different. You know, if you do it too much, it just completely kills the note, or you're not doing it at all if you aren't in the right spot. So you want to be in the perfect spot. Just overlap like a centimeter of the string. That mutes it. And then you just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we do a downstroke on the and after 4, which I know breaks the rules of strumming, but it makes it feel a lot better. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And the second measure is the exact same as before. So we've already practiced that. We're just changing the first measure. Let's try this real quick. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up. The next section is the pre-chorus. We're going to start off on a G power chord. So I'm playing the thickest string at the 3rd fret with my index finger. Then my ring finger is playing the 5th fret of the next string, and my pinky's just underneath that 5th fret of the D string. So 3, 5, 5. Make sure your thumb's in a good spot, elbow and all that stuff. And then we bring that same shape 2 frets higher. Gives us the A power chord, or A5. And the rhythm's super simple. We just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to play a little lick. So I start by plucking the thickest string open, and then I'm going to put my ring finger on the 9th fret of the D string. And my index goes to the 7th fret of the next string, the G string. And then I'm going to play the 9th fret of that same string with my ring finger, and I do a bend. And I'm going to do a full bend, which means it's going to sound like it's 2 frets higher. So 9, we bring it until it sounds like the 11th fret. And then we bring it back down. So it's a bend and a release. And then the 7th fret of that same string. So the lick with the rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I bring it back down on the and after 3, and then I play that 7th fret on 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's like the basic concept for the pre-chorus. We strum those chords, play a lick. So then we're going to do that again, but the lick's a little bit different. Strum our chords. So that next lick is like the same thing, but in a different spot on guitar. We pluck the open E string, and here we're going to play the 7th fret with our pinky finger on the A string, 7th fret. And it's the same lick. But notice, when I'm on the D string here and I'm bending that 7th fret, I'm bending the other way. So the 3 thicker strings, they bend down, and then the 3 thinner strings, they bend up. So that lick, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Exact same lick, just in a different spot on guitar. And then the final one, we once again start with our open E string, and then on the D string, I slide from the 7th fret to the 9th fret. And that's a grace note slide. That means that we're not giving this 7th fret any rhythm. We're just sliding up right away. And then I'm going to play the 7th fret of the G string. This is a third. That's the name of that interval. And then I'm going down to the 7th fret with my ring finger on the D string and the 6th fret of the G string with my middle finger. So we get these 2 notes and these 2 notes. Those are thirds. With the rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. As far as picking them, you can use your pick, or I like to, whenever I'm doing this kind of stuff, I just feel like I'm in slide mode for some reason. And I'll pluck the D string with my pick, and then I'll pluck the G string with my middle finger, do a bit of hybrid picking. Kind of changes the tone between them and makes them sound like 2 separate lines. All in all, that's the pre-chorus. We have like power chords and then a lick. You could just use the same lick every time, but I figured I'd show you what they're doing on the recording with a slight adaptation to that last one. And then from there we go back into our verse, pre-chorus, and then during the second time we do the pre-chorus, there's another lick. I'll just show it to you right now. It goes... It's the same thing that we did those other couple times, except we're up here at the 14th fret of the D string, then the 12th fret of the G string, and we bend the 14th fret of the G string. So it's just like the first one I showed you, but a few frets higher. And then from here, after the second verse and the second pre-chorus, we're finally going to do the chorus. And the chorus is just chords and strumming. It goes like this. So we start off on that same chord we opened up with, the E power chord. You could do an E open chord at this point. That would sound pretty good too. Or the E bar chord up here, which sounds great. That's what they're doing on the recording. And we're just gonna play which is the exact same rhythm we did before, except we're adding a single stroke. In the first measure, we're gonna go 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that and after 3, that upstroke is the only thing that we're adding. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So I would just practice that first half. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. Just doing that a whole bunch of times on a single chord shape or even on muted strings. And then we could do the G power chord, or we could go all out bar chord for a bit of a fatter sound. And then here, we're gonna do the first half on an A chord and the second half on a G chord. So we switch to G on the and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's the way that we split this one. And then we just strum a big fat E chord and we count to 4 2 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Born to be wild. And here we're just strumming on beat 1, 3, 4, D. So the E chord, the first chord that we started out on, and then 2 frets lower, we got the D chord. We go between those 4 times total. And then that's all the different parts of the song. The only part that we haven't touched yet is the solo section, where there's an organ solo and the guitar player is playing like a pared down version of the same stuff that we've already done. So he would play just the same strumming pattern we were just doing. Does that 4 times on an E chord. And then he switches to E7 sharp 9, which if you've learned like Purple Haze, or any Hendrix, the chord comes up all the time. Middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string, index on the 6th fret of the next string, the D string, ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and then my pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. So from the A string, 7, 6, 7, 8. And he goes. So he strums the chord on beats 1 and 2, down, down, and then you release the pressure, and I like to get my thumb to cover the thickest string. I kind of let my fingers flop to completely mute that chord. And 3 and 4, those are all muted. 3 and 4 and we bring the chord back for the and after 4. So the first measure, 1, 2, mute, 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 and then for the second measure, we miss on beat 1, just like we've been doing up until now. Up, mute, 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 mute. So all muting from beat 2 onward. Miss, up, mute, 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 mute. All in all, slowly, 3 and 4 and. And then he goes back to the E chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 times. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's back to like the. So in this lesson, we've broken down every single bit of the tune, all the different riffs, and I want you to practice them up individually before you try putting it all together and get to the point where you're able to just go through the pre-chorus and you're just like nailing it, and then you can glue the song together. I'm just going to write out the form here. So these are all the sections. I want you to print off the lyrics, pause this video, and write this down on the same sheet as your lyrics. This is the order of all the sections. This is how we practice songs. We make sure that we can nail each section on its own, then we glue it all together. Like I said, we've broken down every section in this video. If you need any extra help, just let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to grab my free ebook for lead guitar. It's completely free for all my subscribers. I also have a course, The Complete Lead Guitarist, which is designed to, in a really systematic way, get you comfortable improvising. This happened with me. I just learned a bunch of scales and did all this work up front, and I never actually figured out how to express myself on guitar. So this one kind of goes in reverse, and we start really simple, and you're able to take a solo on day 1, and then we kind of get up there until we do learn the scales and do learn all that stuff, you know, but I think it's a much better method that's actually proven successful with my students, and that's why I teach it that way. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll put a link down below for that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you enjoy learning guitar with me, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, press like, hit the bell icon. Even saying hi in the comments down below does help me out. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.